If I could bottle this thing up and sell it as a pharmaceutical product, I would make trillions of dollars. And you know what it is? It's sleep. Okay, all right. Now, some of you are like, I know, Justin, I'm supposed to sleep 7 to 8 hours, and it's going to help me, and it's going to make me, feel better, move better, all that stuff. And you know what? You're right. But I want to talk because it's not just as simple as being able to say I slept 7 or 8 hours a night. I understand. I hear from a lot of people that say, I have trouble going to sleep, or I have trouble staying asleep. I have stress and fear and worry and things that keep me from sleeping. And so I want to talk today about two things. Number one, I want to reiterate the importance of sleep so that we prioritize it in our lives. And number two, I want to give you sleep hygiene tips that will help you to go to sleep and stay asleep. Okay? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So, first off, making sure that we prioritize sleep because it helps us to move better and feel better. When we sleep, our body is going through a repair cycle. That is the time that is repairing our muscles, and it's repairing and rewiring our brain. So when we go to the gym, we tear down our muscles. When we're here training, we're tearing down our muscles, and we go home, we have our nutrition that helps us repair, but we also repair mostly when we sleep. That's when the rejuvenation process happens. Also in our brain, when we learn new things, sleep is when our brain creates new pathways, and new myelin is created around our new pathways and helps us to remember information better. Back in the day when you were studying, maybe in college or in high school, and you had procrastinated, put it off to the last minute, and you studied and pulled like a late night shift or an all-nighter, you probably actually would have been better just studying for a little bit and then going to sleep, because then your brain would have wired it into your mind better. That's what science would tell us. So when we look at this, number one, it is a rewiring of our mind, and it is a repairing of our body. It's going to help us to feel better and move better by repairing what we have done to our bodies. Okay, so that's first. Second, sleep will help us to look better. Look better? I want to look better? Yes. Okay. Now, see, it's not just a beauty tip, it's the beauty secret. Okay? So there's no product that can help you to glow or to look as good as you can, or be as have the vitality that you want, that sleep can provide. It helps us to balance our hormones. It helps us to rev up our metabolism. It helps us to look good. It gets rid of the bags under our eyes, and it helps us to have healthy skin and all the things that we want to have. Plus, it allows our hormones to reset. It allows our body to use them more efficiently, so that way we can digest our food better, we can use it more effectively, and ultimately we can look better. Okay? And lastly, it helps us to live better. The truth is this, that if we cut corners on sleep, we're going to cut corners on our life. It compromises our immune system. It compromises our energy. It compromises our memory. It compromises our health overall through chronic disease like heart disease. And so, while I don't want this to be a scare tactic, I do want this to be a wake-up call. Get it? Wake-up call. Anyway, sorry. So, but in reality, just remember that sleep is not just something that we're supposed to do. It is crucial to us living our best lives, especially after the age of 40. If we want to continue to age well and feel better, move better, and live better, then we need to make sure that we are getting our sleep in. Okay? So that's the why. Now, let's talk about the what. Because people will come to me and say, hey, look, I just don't go to sleep well, or I have a hard time staying asleep. Well, sleep is like anything else. It takes practice and it takes time. Some of you could go to sleep like that and be out and have no problem. And you're pretty blessed if that's you, because a lot of people cannot do that. So here are some tips and things that I wanted to provide you with to help you to make sure that you sleep better, go to sleep faster, and stay asleep longer, okay? So number one, we have this 8210 concept. Number one, don't consume caffeine 8 hours before you go to bed. Consuming caffeine. Some of you are like, look, I could drink a pot of coffee and then go to bed. Well, you could, but it's not going to be quality sleep because coffee and caffeine is a central nervous system exciter, and it's going to keep you excited and it's going to keep you awake. It's going to keep you from getting into deep sleep and REM sleep. There are 4 stages of sleep, and we want to make sure that we are going through multiple cycles of sleep throughout the night. Okay, so we need to make sure that we limit the caffeine or we limit things that excite our central nervous system about 8 hours before we go to bed. 2 hours before we go to bed, we don't want to have a big heavy meal. If you're eating and it's a part of your nutrition plan, great, but we don't want to have a big load of pizza and pasta and a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't fit with our plan. That's going to be hard for us to digest at night. So 2 hours before you go to bed, no big meals. 1 hour before you go to bed, we want to get rid of the blue light. We want to get rid of the screen time, right? Because that messes with our circadian rhythm and it's going to keep your mind going. So number one, the blue light is meant to mimic the sun, so your brain gets thrown off by that. And number two, you're looking at stuff, you're more likely to get worried. You're like, oh, I forgot, I have to do this, and now I have to do that, and my kid has this thing tomorrow, and I have to take them there, and I have to go to this meeting for work, and now all of a sudden your mind's racing, and then you're like, well, I don't understand why I can't sleep. Well, I do, because now you're processing a whole lot of stuff, okay? 1 hour before you go to bed, get rid of the blue light. And then 0 is 0 times you hit the snooze button in the morning. Get up when you say you're going to get up. Okay, so get up. Don't hit the snooze button. So that's 8210 to help you there. Secondly, we want to look at our sleep hygiene and say, well, how can we make sure our room is set up for success? Okay, there's a couple things. Number one, we want our room to be as dark as possible. We want it to be as dark as we can. If you don't have blackout curtains or don't have anything special in your room, what you can do instead is get a sleep mask. Get a sleep mask. You can put it on your eyes and it will make a huge difference in your sleep because you won't have ambient light that's going to come in and wake you up at some point. If you happen to wake up in the middle of the night and there is no light around you, you're more likely to go back to bed as well. So we want to make things as dark as possible. Next, we want our room to be between 62 and 68 degrees. This will help us to stay asleep longer, okay? This is going to keep us in a better sleep state overall. And temperature regulation, our body core, it drops during optimal sleep. That way we can have our thermostat set about 65 degrees according to Dr. Andrew Huberman, okay? So this will help create more restorative sleep. So that's number 2, temperature regulation. We want to get rid of our light. We want our room to be as quiet as possible. Now, some of you may sleep with some sound machines on, and if that's the case, that's fine if you're used to that. But the problem is what happens if that goes out? If your internet goes out, the fan doesn't work, something along those lines. I would highly encourage you on the regular to get in the habit of not having something that you are going to listen to overall, that we would have as much silence as possible, okay? So we want to make sure that our room is dark. We want to make sure that our room is cool. We want to make sure that we get rid of as much light as possible. And lastly, we want to have a consistent sleep routine. We want to set the schedule as best we can and say, you know what? I'm going to go to bed at this time and I'm going to wake up at this time. And we want to limit the amount of time in between that, even on the weekends. See, often we go to work Monday through Friday and we have the time and we wake up at 6, we go to bed at 10 or whatever it is. And then on the weekends, it's like, hey, we go to bed at midnight and we wake up at 9. And you do that on Saturday and you do that on Sunday or whatever the case may be. And then all of a sudden, Monday, you got to get back in the routine and you are so thrown off by that. So I want to encourage you to keep a regular sleep routine as much as possible. Look, if you're going to go on vacation, you want to sleep in, you want to get some rest, that's great. But think of this as the overall, as the regular part of your life. The more you can regulate your sleep, the better off you're going to be. You think 7 to 8 hours. If you can get 7 hours consistently every single night as an adult over 40, you're going to improve your odds of living longer and living better. So I want to make sure that we drive this point home. Figure out what time you need to wake up in the morning and then subtract 7 or 8 from that. Subtract 7 or 8 from the time you need to wake up in the morning. That's what time you need to go to sleep, not be in bed. Go to sleep. So If you have to be asleep at 10 because you wake up at 6, that means you need to probably be in bed at 9:30, which means you actually need to set up this wind down routine which will help you to go to bed and be in bed at 9:30 so you can actually sleep from 10 to 6. Setting up a wind down routine is the last step, and making sure that you set up something that's going to allow you to relax. You know, a wind down routine means, hey, we put the phone somewhere else. We don't sleep with our phone on our nightstand. The phone should not be within an arm's reach. And I know some of you are moms and you're like, hey, but I need my kid to be able to get a hold of me and something's going on. You could put it in a bedroom, in a bathroom, somewhere away from you where you could still hear it if someone had to get a hold of you. But that way you can't just pick it up and reach it at 1 o'clock in the morning when you wake up and just start looking at the phone. Okay? Get it out of your room, get it at least an arm's length away from you. Okay? So do that. Number 2, you could set yourself up some kind of prayer or meditation routine where you relax and you focus on your breathing, you focus on gratitude, where you start to bring your heart rate down and you just calm yourself overall, focusing in on breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. You could do a series of breathing drills like the 6-8-2, which is where you breathe in for 6 seconds, you hold 6-2-8, sorry, not 6-8-2, 6-2-8. You breathe in for 6, you hold it for 2 seconds, and then you blow out through your mouth for 8 seconds. So big deep breath in through your nose into your belly button. You hold it for 2 seconds, and then you blow it out like you're blowing out 100 birthday candles for 8 seconds. You could journal, you could read a book, you could do something that will help you to bring your heart rate down, to help you relax. Preferably if it's a book, not a self-help book, because we don't need to think about like, hey, how do I get better about myself at this point? We want to do that more so in the morning. This should be a relaxing book. Okay? So, those are the things that will help us with sleep. That's the why and the how of sleep. So I want to encourage you, make this a priority. Set up your time, own your schedule, and go, you know what? I'm going to bed at this time and I'm going to wake up at this time, because it will help you to sleep better, which will ultimately help you to move better, feel better, look better, and live better. And it will allow you to be great today.